welcome back to my channel, and if you are new here then hello and welcome. My name's Alexis and I post 2 videos a week on a Tuesday and a Thursday at 7 AM. So if you love a recipe video like this one and you want to see more, then please don't forget to hit that subscribe button. And now I'm going to share with you 3 of my favourite porridge recipes. As I just mentioned, today I want to share with you 3 of my favourite porridge recipes. For those of you that don't know, I love breakfast. I think it's the most important meal of the day, and I definitely enjoy a good breakfast every morning. And porridge is one of my favourites. However, I'm not a great fan of just plain porridge. I like to add ingredients to my porridge and make it really tasty. And I've come up with quite a few recipes over the years, and I thought today that I would share 3 of my favourites with you. It's my husband and I that will be having this for breakfast. I've made Ted some porridge pancakes that he's going to have for breakfast. So when I'm making the porridge mix, the first thing I like to do is I like to pour the porridge into the bowl, and I like to measure this out. So I measure about 90 grams of porridge. You can measure as much or as little as you like, it's up to you. If I was doing this for just me, it would probably be about 40 to 45 grams of porridge. So I just measure out 90 grams for my husband and I. And then what I like to do is I like to add a few chia seeds to that. So I probably add 2 big tablespoons of chia seeds. So 1, 2. Chia seeds are really good because they've got a lot of omega-3s and 6s in them as well, so they're really good for your body. And I also like to add flaxseed as well. So I like to add a couple of tablespoons of flaxseed to this as well. And then to add an extra bit of sweetness without it being too sugary, I also like to add a teaspoon of ground sweet cinnamon as well. If you don't have ground sweet cinnamon, you can use cinnamon if you want to. So I'm just going to add a big teaspoon or 2 of that because we really like ground cinnamon. And then what I like to do is I like to add the milk over the top. And I like to do this the night before, so it gives the porridge oats time to soak. And by soaking the porridge oats, it helps with the digestive enzymes, so your body can digest it easier if you soak it overnight. And now what I'm going to do, as I said, is I'm going to put this in the fridge and leave it to soak overnight, and then I'll show you what I'm going to do in the morning. So the final part of the basic porridge mix is to just add some banana and some fresh fruit. So I like to add just 1 banana for 2 people. If it was just me, I'd probably do a bit of a smaller banana. This is all we have at the moment, so this is for Howard and I, so I'm quite pleased it's quite a big banana. And I just simply slice it up, put it into the bottom of the bowl, and then I've just got some frozen blueberries here that we just buy from our local supermarket. And I'm just going to put in a handful or 2 of frozen blueberries into the bottom of the pan, like so. 1, 2. And then I'm going to add the porridge to this as well. And it is quite soft this morning. I did add quite a lot of milk to that. But I am going to add a bit of water just to break it up. I just use the water from the kettle to do that. And then I'm going to put this on a high heat, and I'll just keep continuing to stir this until it's nice and thick. You can cook it for as long or as little as you like, depending on how thick you like your porridge. And if it becomes too thick, then you can just add a bit more water to it. But yeah, so I'm just going to stir this now until it's done. This is the sort of consistency that we like it at. I'm just going to add a bit more water to this just to break it up a little bit. And this is the stage. I've been cooking this for probably about 5-10 minutes now, and this is the stage that I really like it at, because this is the bit where the blueberries start to pop in the porridge. So they burst in the porridge and they make the porridge go blue. I just really like it, and I like the taste of them when they've done that as well. So yes, I'm now going to serve this with a bit of honey, and I'm going to eat this for my breakfast and thoroughly enjoy it as well. So as I just mentioned, I'm just going to add a bit of honey to both of these bowls, and this adds a really nice sweetness to it. You can use maple syrup if you don't want to use honey, that's fine. And yeah, that's how you make my delicious basic porridge. I have done is to weigh out about 200 grams of gluten-free porridge oats. I'm using gluten-free porridge oats because I have a small intolerance to gluten, but you can use, if you don't have an intolerance to gluten, then you can use any kind of oats you like. And then to that I'm going to add a tablespoon of chia seeds, actually a couple of tablespoons of chia seeds. I forget I'm making this for 4 and not 1, that's why I said 1 then. And then I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of pumpkin seeds as well. And I'm also going to add 2 tablespoons of flaxseed to this as well, like so. And these just bulk out the porridge basically. I like to use them because it bulks it out a bit and it makes it a bit more interesting as well than just plain porridge. And then what I'm going to do is add about a teaspoon or 2 of ground sweet cinnamon. If you can't get ground sweet cinnamon, then you can always use cinnamon. It doesn't matter. But ground sweet cinnamon is delicious, I have to say, so if you can get it. Or if you don't like cinnamon, then you can leave it out if you want to as well. And then in this bowl here, I have just like a cup or a couple of handfuls of frozen raspberries that I'm also going to add. Now it should be blackberries, but unfortunately blackberry season is over in the UK, and I can't get any blackberries, so I'm just going to use frozen raspberries instead. I've used up all of the blackberries in my freezer, so instead of blackberries I shall use raspberries. But that's the great thing about this recipe, it is adaptable, so you can use any type of like soft fruit you like. So you could use blueberries, or in the summer you could use strawberries as well. As I said, it's adaptable, and any kind of fruit works well in it really. So I've added the raspberries and I've mixed all of those ingredients together, and I'm just going to set this aside now. Now I'm going to deal with my wet ingredients. So the first thing I'm going to do is add some milk to my blender. So I'm going to add about 400 mils of oat milk. You can use any kind of milk you like. This is a gluten-free milk, so I really like to use this one. I love this company as well. They're a really good company. They've got a great ethos. This isn't an advert for Rude House, but they are a very good company and I do like their products. And I'm going to add a banana to that now. I'm going to add 2 bananas. So I'm just going to peel and break up the bananas like so and put them into my blender as well. If I can break up this banana, there you go. Right, and I'm just going to break this up. And the banana acts a bit like an egg. It helps to glue all of the ingredients together. And then I've got about 8 medjool dates that I have just sliced and removed the stones and the end bits from. And I'm just going to go and put those into my blender as well. And then in this bowl here I have some apple and blackberry puree that I saved for this recipe. So this is like about 3 or 4 apples and some blackberries that I have just put on the hob and left to simmer until they went soft, and then I blended them in the blender. What I would say is, if you can get blackberries, fresh from bushes like around your neighbourhood, then please do, and wash them and store them in the freezer. I'm only using about 2 tablespoons of how I made probably about 200 mils of this, so I'm using about 2 big tablespoons of this, and you can freeze it as well. The recipe for this I will link in the description box below for you. I haven't done a video of this yet, but I will do in the future. So I'm just going to add this to the mixture as well. So I'm going to put this in now, like so, and then I'm just going to put my lid on. And I'm going to blend all of these ingredients together. As you can see here, I have blended all of these ingredients together until they are like a smoothie. And basically what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add the wet ingredients to the dry ones. And I'm going to mix everything together until like the smoothie is all absorbed into the oats, basically. And then I shall show you what I'm going to do next. But yeah, so once everything is well mixed together, I'm going to set this aside again now. Now I'm going to prepare the baking tray that I'm going to cook this in, or the baking tin. So I have cut 2 pieces of greaseproof paper, one lengthways and one widthways, so that they fit quite nicely inside the tin. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a bit of oil to the base of the tin, and I'm going to spread that oil around, and I'm going to, as evenly as I can, and I'm going to spread it up the sides as well. And I'm going to put 1 piece of greaseproof paper in, like so, and then I'm going to spread a bit more of the oil onto the bottom sheet, and then I'm going to put another sheet on top, so that the whole tin is covered with the greaseproof paper. And I'm just going to add a little bit more oil to that as well. I'm going to spread it around as evenly as I can, up the sides as well. I'm just going to fold these pieces of paper over, like so. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my porridge mixture into the greaseproof paper in the tin, and then I'm going to spread it across the bottom as evenly as I can, and then I'm going to store this in the fridge overnight, and hopefully the oats will have soaked up all of the goodness. And when you leave oats to soak overnight, they're actually a lot better for the stomach. Yeah, we found that you can digest them easier. So soaking them overnight is a really good thing. It brings out the digestive enzymes in the oats, and it helps our stomachs to digest them. So I love leaving oats in the fridge overnight. I always find it easier to eat them like that as well. So that is my porridge done, and I'm going to put this into the fridge overnight now. So the first thing I'm going to do is preheat my oven to 200 degrees. My oven is preheated, and I've taken the porridge out of the fridge, and I'm going to put this into the oven now for about 20 to 25 minutes. So the baked porridge has been in the oven for about 25 minutes, and I'd say that's done. If it's a bit soggy in the middle, don't worry, because it's got no egg in it, and it's still porridge as well. The last one I made was slightly soggy in the middle, but it was still delicious. So yes, I'm going to take this out of the oven now, and I'm going to leave it to cool. That's my apple and blackberry baked porridge done, and I've left this to cool for a good hour now. It's still slightly warm, but not hot, and I think this will be the perfect time to cut it. I think because I put it in the fridge overnight, it's not as sticky in the middle. The last one I made, it was quite wet in the middle, but I put it in the oven straight away. So I think that's probably why. But I'm just going to serve myself a slice now. So as you can see, it is a little bit wet in the middle, but that's perfect for me. I really like it like that. So I'm off to eat my breakfast now. making this recipe, I'm going to mix my dry ingredients. So in this bowl here, I have about 45 grams of gluten-free oats. You can use ordinary oats. I have a small gluten intolerance. And in the original recipe, this serves 2. So obviously, if you don't want it for 2, then just halve everything like I am today. So I've got 45 grams of gluten-free oats, and I'm going to add about a tablespoon of ground flaxseed to the oats, and I find this just bulks it out a bit, and flaxseed is really good for you as well. It's full of B vitamins and things that we need, so I always like to use it in my porridge nowadays. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a teaspoon of ground sweet cinnamon as well. And ground sweet cinnamon is great for hormones, especially female hormones. In the original recipe I said to use maca powder, but unfortunately I don't have any maca powder, so I'm using ground sweet cinnamon as well. And I use maca powder for the same reason, for my hormones, but ground sweet cinnamon does a similar job, so I'm just going to use that instead. So I'm just going to mix those together. And then I'm going to move on to my wet ingredients now. As I mentioned earlier, in the original recipe it serves 2, but as I'm only making it for myself, I'm going to be halving all the ingredients. So in the original recipe I said to use 8 prunes, but obviously it's only for me, so I'm going to be using 4 prunes. And then I'm also going to add a banana to this recipe, and I'm going to be blending these in my blender as well. So I'm just going to put the banana in now. So I'm just going to break that up and put that in. And then I'm going to be using 200 mils of milk. You can use any type of milk you like. I'm actually using this one by Rude House, and this is a coconut drink, and it just makes the drink really nice and sweet. It just makes the porridge a bit sweet, that's all. So that's why I like to use this. So I'm just going to pour that into my blender as well now. And then I'm going to add about 5 stalks of lavender. I think I said to use 3 to 6 stalks. I really like the taste of lavender, so I've used a little bit more. I do have this growing in my garden as well, but if you don't have it growing in your garden, you could use dried, and I have found it in some supermarkets as well. I found dried lavender, so if you wanted to use dried, then you could. So I'm just going to put those into this as well, and then I'm going to blend the wet ingredients together. Also forgotten to add the cocoa powder, so I've got some raw cacao powder here. You can use cocoa powder if you want to, and you can add this to the porridge or to the blender. I'm going to add it to the blender today, so I'm just going to put a tablespoon of raw cacao powder into my blender, and I'm just going to blend those ingredients together again now. All my ingredients until they are smooth, and it basically looks like a chocolate milkshake. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour the wet ingredients onto the dry ones, and I'm going to mix everything together, and then I'm going to put this into the fridge overnight, and I'm going to leave the oats to soak in all of this goodness in this bowl. It smells so good, I could probably eat it right now, I have to say, but I'm not going to. I'm going to save this, and I'm going to put it in the fridge, and then tomorrow I will cook it on the stove, but I'll show you how to do that tomorrow. So it's the next day, and my porridge oats have been soaking in the fridge overnight, and as you can see they've turned into kind of a mousse consistency. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put that into my saucepan, which I've put on my hob, and I'm going to add a bit of water to that as well, just to break it up a little bit. And I've also got some blueberries here, just to add a bit more texture to it. So I'm just going to put in a handful or 2 of blueberries, and then I'm going to put this onto a high heat, and I'm going to start to stir everything round. During this process I may need to add a little bit more water because the oats do become a bit stiff before the end of the cooking process. It depends. I mean, if you like it quite stiff, if you like porridge quite not so runny, then you can always just not add the water. But personally, I prefer my porridge a little bit runny. And I also like it when the blueberries pop in the pan as well and all the juice comes out. Makes the porridge super tasty. So I'm just going to continue now to keep stirring this. So my porridge has started to thicken. So I just thought I'd share with you what I like to do. So I'm just going to turn the heat down a little bit. I did put that on high, so I've just turned it down to a medium heat. And I'm just going to add a little bit more water. And I'm going to mix that in. And sometimes I might do this about 2 or 3 times to get it to the consistency I like. And and I wait for the blueberries, as I mentioned earlier, to pop as well. So they're starting to pop now, and I think this is at a consistency I like. As you can see, it is very warm, this porridge. So I think I'm going to pour it back into the bowl and I'm going to go and eat it. So that's my porridge done. That was 3 of my favourite porridge recipes, and I will link those in the description box below for you. For now, that's it from me. Thank you so much for watching. Please feel free to give me a big thumbs up if you enjoyed this video, and please feel free to leave any comments below. And please don't forget to hit that subscribe button. See you all soon. Bye.